This video is on transformations of functions. Remember that you can pause the video, rewind, do anything you need to do in order to have the information go slower or repeated. So first thing we're going to talk about is horizontal shifts. Remember, horizontal goes left to right. That is if the number is in the parentheses. And so here's your first function, f of x equals x squared, which is a parabola going through 0, 0. If you add 2 to x inside the parentheses, it actually moves it left 2. It does the opposite. So you start at 0, 0, go left 2, and then you have your parabola. Here we have x minus 3. It does the opposite, so that actually goes right 3. If you set this equal to 0, then it would be x equals 3. So that's why you're doing the opposite. Vertical shifts. Remember, a vertical line, vertical means to go up and down. So here we're starting with the function absolute value of x. The absolute value function, I don't think you've probably seen before. It makes a v going through 0, 0. If you add 2 to the end of it, it actually makes it move up 2. So if you're inside the absolute value, inside the parentheses, it moves left or right. If you're outside, it moves it up or down. So this moves it up 2, and then you draw your v, right? The way I remember that absolute value makes a v is because it has a v in its name, right? Value is a v. Here you have minus 3 on the outside, so that moves it down 3. So you go down 3, and you draw your v. This is a vertical stretch or compression, which is also a dilation. So dilation is when you multiply by a scale factor. In this case, they're saying a is your scale factor. If you're multiplying, the number will be out front. If the absolute value of your scale factor is greater than 1, then that is going to be a stretch. If your absolute value of your scale factor is between 0 and 1, that is going to be a compression, or some people call it a shrink. Okay? So here, once again, we have x squared, which is a parabola. If you multiply it by 4, 4 is greater than 1, so it actually stretches it. When you stretch it, it makes it skinnier because you're pulling it up, so it's making it skinnier. So this one is a stretch, a vertical stretch by a scale factor of 4. Here we're multiplying it by 1/4. 1/4 is less than 1. So that is a vertical compression, or a vertical shrink, you could call it, by a factor of 1/4. Starts at 0, 0. If you compress it, it actually makes it wider. Right? And then we did not do this in Math 2. This is new to Math 3. A horizontal stretch or compression. That's when you are multiplying your scale factor by x. So that is when x is being multiplied by a number. So we're back to our parabola. Here, if you multiply x by a factor of 4, so this is a horizontal. This is actually a horizontal compression. So whenever you are inside the parentheses, you do the opposite. So I know that 4 is bigger than 1, but since we're inside the parentheses, it's opposite. So instead of being a stretch, it is a compression. And it makes it skinnier because you're multiplying all your x values by 4. Here, you're multiplying your x values by 1/4. Again, 1/4 is less than 1, which if it was on the outside would be a compression, but since it's on the inside, it does the opposite. It is a horizontal stretch, and it does the opposite. It makes it wider. So remember, horizontal is left to right. So if you squeeze in from the sides, if you compress from the sides, it's going to make it skinnier. Here, if you take the sides and you stretch it out to the sides, it makes it wider. So that's another way that it might make a little bit more sense to you. All right, so here are your rules all in one place. Plus h on the inside makes it move to the left. Minus h on the inside makes it move to the right. Plus k on the outside makes it move up. Minus k makes it move down. We didn't do any of the graphs of what the negative makes it do. The negative on the outside makes it is a reflection over the x-axis. You learned that in Math 2. A negative on the inside with your x is a reflection over the y-axis, so that is new. If you're multiplying a by the whole thing, if a is out front, then that would be a vertical stretch, which makes it narrow. If a is between 0 and 1, that would be a vertical compression, which would make it wider. If you are multiplying x on the inside, if it's greater than 1, that is a horizontal compression. And that actually makes it narrower. And if it's less than 1, that is a horizontal stretch, which actually makes it wider. Alright, what does it look like if you're not doing the graph, if you're just given the function notation? Minus 3 on the inside moves it right 3, and the plus 2 moves it up 2. Plus 5 on the inside moves it left 5, minus 2 moves it down 2. 2 in front, that is a vertical stretch, which would make it narrower, skinnier. The minus 3 moves it right 3 because it's on the inside. You do the opposite, and the minus 2 makes it move down 2. All right, on this one, you treat the negative and the 1/2 separately. Those do two different things. The negative makes it reflect over the x-axis. The 1/2, since it's out front, is a vertical compression. The plus 3 makes it move left 3, and the minus 4 makes it move down 4. All right, again, you treat the negative and the 5 separately. All right, that's why I said before you take the absolute value of a. So the negative makes it reflect over the x-axis. The 5 is a vertical stretch, which would make it narrower. The minus 1 moves it right 1, and the plus 2 moves it up 2. All right, number 6, notice that you have a 2x, and not just an x, but a number with the x. You have to factor that out in order to do these problems, in order to get them correct. So you got to factor out the 2, so you divide those by 2. So you're left with 2 parentheses x minus 4, and then the minus 2 down here. So you can see the reason we did that is because there's actually 3 transformations happening. This 2, since it's on the inside, is going to be a horizontal stretch or compression. The 2 is bigger than 1, so you would think it would be a stretch, but since it's in the parentheses, you do the opposite. So it's a horizontal compression. The minus 4 moves it right 4. You do the opposite because it's in the inside, and then down 2. Same thing here. You've got a number with the x, so you have to factor that out. So divide them both by negative 2. So that leaves me with negative 2, x plus 5, and then the plus 3 on the outside. This one's going to have 4 transformations. The negative and the 2 you treat separately, the plus 5 and the plus 3. So it's going to have 4 transformations. The negative on the inside is a reflection over the y-axis. The 2 is a horizontal compression. Do the opposite. Plus 5 is left 5 because it's on the inside of parentheses, and the plus 3 is up 3. Here, this negative, since it's in the very, very front, it's a reflection over the x-axis. You do have to factor out the number with the x. You are going to divide those both by 2/3. So that leaves me with 2/3 parentheses x. Negative 6 divided by 2/3, you multiply by the reciprocal. So that gives you negative 18 divided by 2, which is negative 9. and then plus 8. All right, negative, we said reflected over the x-axis. We've already done that. The 2/3 would be a horizontal stretch, which would actually make it wider. The -9 moves it right 9. And the +8 moves it up 8. Even when there's a negative with the x, you also have to divide them both by -1 in order to get the transformations correct. So the -1 is a reflection over the y-axis. The -2 moves it right 2, and the -1 moves it down 1. All right, number 10, write the equation for the parent absolute value function. Absolute value is that. And we want it to go right 2 and down 3. All right, so right 2, that's going to be on the inside. It's actually a -2, and down 3 will be a -3 on the outside. Number 11 is the square root function, and you want to shift it 2 left, 3 down, and reflect over the x-axis. So the square root function is the square root of x. We want to go 2 left, so that's going to be on the inside. You're actually going to add 2 on the inside of the square root. Down 3 is going to be a -3. Reflect over the x-axis will be a negative in the front. Number 12, write the equation of the parent quadratic function. So the quadratic function is x squared. For this one, we want to go 2 right, 1 down, a vertical stretch of 2, and reflect over the x-axis. So 4 things happening on that one. So 2 right would be x minus 2 on the inside, down 1. Vertical stretch of 2 would be in the front, and reflect over the x-axis would also be in the front. So -2, parentheses, x minus 2 squared minus 1. 13, if f of x equals x minus 2 squared plus 1, find the equation formed by translating f of x 3 left, 2 up, horizontally stretching 1/2, and horizontally flipping over the y-axis. Okay? All right, so to go, this is our original, x minus 2 squared plus 1. So to go 3 left, you would add 3, and you would go 2 up. You would add 2 there. Okay, so that's going to give you x minus 2 squared. That's going to be a plus 1. -2 plus 3 is +1, and 1 plus 2 is 3. We also need to horizontally stretch it 1/2 and horizontally flip it over the y-axis. So that's going to mean you're going to multiply what's on the inside by -1/2. So you are multiplying what's on the inside by -1/2. And you do want to distribute that -1/2 out. So it'd be -1/2 x minus 1/2, all that squared, because it's a quadratic, plus 3. So that would be your answer. Number 14, we have an absolute value function. We need to go 1 left, 2 down, and vertically flip over the x-axis. Remember, before you do anything, you need to factor out this 2. So divide them both by 2. All right, now we're going to go 1 left. So we're going to add 1 on the inside. You do the opposite, and we're going to go down 2. So that leaves me with 2x minus 1 minus 1, and then to vertically flip it over the x-axis, you put a negative out front, and then we are going to distribute back this 2. So negative absolute value 2x minus 2 minus 1 would be your final answer. All right, 2 more. Write the equation f of x equals sine x plus 2 parentheses minus 4, 5 units down, 3 left, and horizontally compress 2 units. All right, so 5 units down would mean you're subtracting 5 from the 4. 3 left would mean you're adding 3 to what's on the inside. So that leaves me with this. And then I need to horizontally compress it by 2. So horizontal happens on the inside. So I'm multiplying all of that by 2. So that gives me 2x plus 10. So sine of 2x plus 10 minus 9. I know you haven't worked with the sine function much, but it's the same rules apply when you're doing the transformations. All right, here we have a square root of function x plus 5 and then the minus 2. We need to go 2 units up, 4 left, and vertically compress by, that's a 2/3, and flip horizontally. All right, so let's do the 2 units up, so that would add 2 there. Those would cancel. 4 left would be a plus 4 here. Vertically compress by 2/3. So we're going to do 2/3 times x plus 9 because you add those. And then flip horizontally would be, vertically compressed by 2/3. The 2/3 goes on the outside. So it's 2/3 square root x plus 9. Then to flip horizontally, you put a negative on the inside. So that's going to be 2/3 square root negative x minus 9 would be your function. Okay. All right, go ahead and pause the video so you can do your OYO. Once you're done, you can hit play so you can see the answer. And then lastly, on your notes, once again, here are all the rules put in a table to help you see what everything does all together.